I tell you what, I tried and tried and tried with that long flexi rod last night. Oh man, this is the next morning. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was trying to do it with my left hand, trying to do it with my right hand. I'd get it in there and it would be way over here and I couldn't reach it, way over there and I couldn't reach it. And my wife said, hey, just call it a night or call it a day and try in the morning. And I was dreading this and I thought, nope, I'm gonna come out here and in 15 minutes, I'm gonna fish it up through there, because I had to fish it up through insulation and all of those metal gussets. And I finally got it up there. I reached up here, and look at this. Look at this, I got it, I tell you. Right there. Okay, now I've got to attach my wire on there, and I gotta decide how to do that, because I want to make sure that when I pull it back, it's not going to come off. And you see, I've got this little kit came with this thing, and see this thing, it's got an end on it the same as that, and I could hook that on there, and then this thing is supposed to spread apart. It's supposed to spread apart like that, see? And then you put the wire in there, and then it's supposed to just grab onto it and go through. But I don't know. I think I'm gonna wrap the wire, the Romex wire on the end of that, and just put some electrical tape all on it, on that, up higher on it and such, and it won't come off. It just won't come off, I don't think. And then I can pull it back carefully, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I've never really used this end piece. It makes sense that I should be able to slide that. I don't really trust that. I don't know why. And like I said, I've never tried it. But and if it were to come off, then I'd have to fish it up in there again. But I'm not gonna mess with it. And it's funny, this is a straight line, but see how that is coming out at an angle. I had to wedge it. That was the problem. I couldn't just run it straight, because the V angled pieces of the different TJIs were preventing me from going there. And then I would get down there, and then I would hit the last TJI, the bottom of it, and I'd have to jump over 1.5 inches, or I was hitting the top of it and I'd have to push it down 1.5 inches. And there's only so much you can do with that. But hey, never give up. That's what I say. Now, I'm just going to simply pull that back. That's all I got to do. Whew, oh man. And another thing I was gonna do on that end, had I not been able to get it, I had that end, and if I couldn't reach it, I was gonna reach my hand up through there and maybe use my cat's paw so I could reach it further and maybe grab the end of it or something, or reach over and pull on it. You could do that with a little piece of Romex wire too. But I couldn't reach it, and this time, oh man, it just poked in there after about 5 minutes of, come on, I can do it, come on, and then it just slipped right through. Okay, now I just gotta pull this through and hope I don't get lodged up Ah, come on. Hope I don't get lodged up on some insulation. Like I am right there. Oh, no I'm not. my wire's caught underneath the door. Silly weenie. Okay. Make sure I've got enough wire pulled out of my roll there. I'm glad I didn't just start forcing it. And see, if you use these ends, because see I had to hook all three of them together, you want to make sure, okay, there it is. Good grief. You want to make sure that those ends are on there tight and that you don't hit something. You see, these are just that little, you know, you lift up on it and then you hook it in there. You want to make sure it's hooked in there really good. See, I used the two long ones and I used the short one. Now, with that kit, you get a short one and you get a long one. And I thought, just for, you know, the odd time, I might need a long one, so an extra long one. So I got that extra long one, and I've never really used it until now. I'm sure glad I got it. Okay, so now I can pull that down just a little bit more, give myself a little bit of extra slop and stuff, and get ready for my next bit. What is my next bit? And see, I just leave it on the roll, and I just let it come out like that. I don't, you know, could I have measured the piece and cut it and stuff? Yeah, you could, but then if you know, what if you're too short, just barely? What if you're, you know, 2 feet extra here, 2 feet extra there? Fine, now you've got to cut some of your wire off. I like to save as much wire as I can. Obviously, you never know when you're going to need a little bit longer piece at the end of your project or something at the end of your roll. Okay, I'm going to get set up for the next bit, and I'll see you in a minute. Yeah, if one of these hits, and let's say you're probing up there and you want to pull it back, you could possibly pull one of these back and this whole thing could pop off. And if so, kaboink, you lose one whole section up in your ceiling that you're never going to be able to get unless you cut a hole in the ceiling. I'm not going to do that. And see, I was drilling a hole at the condo and I was using my bit like that, and it was on there, and I'm drilling through. I removed an electrical outlet like that, and I took the box out, and I was trying to put my flexi rod and the bit down in there and drill a hole down from the second floor down, the second floor down into the first floor into the garage. And son of a gun, I could not get it through there, and I must have been hitting some nails. I tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. I drilled 4 or 5 different holes, and as I'm pulling up on one time, the drill bit got caught on something, and it was probably next to the edge of a nail, next to the edge of a 2x4, a little piece of something down there. I pulled up on it, and lo and behold, the brand new twist drill bit that came with the stuff popped off, and I tried to reach my hand. Down there. I even cut a hole, you know, so I could put a 2-gang ring on there instead of a single. I still couldn't get my arm all the way down to the floor, and so that brand new bit forevermore is caught in that wall until somebody tears it all apart. So I had to go down to the store. Luckily, I found a matching one, and I got it. That's why I know every once in a while these things will pop off. So you need to make sure really carefully that you got it popped in there properly, that you pull on each side of it to make sure it's set, and then you just have to be aware of that as you go. Okay, I'll get ready to go for the next bit. Now one more thing. if that wasn't going to work, I was racking my head last night, waking up in the middle of the night. How else can I get that through there? What else could I have used? What else could I try? And I thought, I'm going to keep trying to probe with those flexi rods, and I'm sure I can get it. But worst case scenario, I thought I could run down to the hardware store, get a piece of 1/2-inch PVC sprinkler pipe and see if I could ram that through there. I might have to cut a point on it, 45-degree angle or something, and keep poking it. I thought, yeah, I might be able to get it through there, but then again, maybe not, because I had to go over insulation, through insulation, around, and all that. That I might have been able to do it had this not have worked. Or a long dowel, a long piece of trim, you know, quarter round trim, a little bit flexible, so you can, the wood one, not the plastic one, so you can kind of push that through there. I was thinking all kinds of stuff, but hey, one way or another, I knew this was open here. It was just a matter of time and patience and effort and trying to sneak it around, up and over and around, to where I could reach my hand up over there as far as I could and reach it. And yes, I was able to do it. Okay, I'm almost ready to put this pancake box up there. I put the ground screw in there, and see how at the bottom of the ground screw, it's going to go up above the back side of the pancake box. That's why I had to pre-drill a hole up in there into the wood, just to allow this screw to go up in there, or else this screw would never tighten down, because the back side of the screw would be hitting the wood. Okay, and I had marked the holes, my mounting ones, and I took a little drill bit and pre-drilled up in there a little bit. And then see this little thing here, I just took a screwdriver and just kind of put it in there, and see if I can stretch that out. It's designed to put your Romex right through there, and then it's going to pinch it on there, see? And that's like, if you got a regular attic, you don't want somebody to walk up there and not know that there's a wire there, and then it pushes down on your wire on the edges of the side of your box, because those edges are sharp. That's why you have this, so that when the wire goes up there, your wire Romex cabling on the sides don't hit on there. But you know, if it didn't come with that, and if I forgot to purchase one of those, I could have done it without it, but code says you got to have something. And but you see up here, there's no attic, so it's like, what's ever going to happen? But nevertheless, they say it's code. Now, if you know what a Romex connector is, you could put a Romex connector in there, and it's got a bolt that comes through here, and it's got a nut that you would tighten down, and then it's got 2 screws that screw on there that clamps down, and you may have to do that there depending how much room you have over there. And then you could do that down lower, and then you could just push the whole thing up into the ceiling. You could do it that way too, see? Okay, so now it's about getting up there, fishing my wire through there, allowing enough coming down. I allow, 8-9 inches or so, and then I can trim it off or whatever when I get done, and then I'll just pull the excess back that way, or I can leave it up there or whatever. That's our next step. All right, I'm going to get up there. Sometimes I explain something and thinking I've explained it enough and for it to make sense, and somebody will say, hey, way to go, Joe. You didn't show us how to do it. You just explained it. And I'm like, well, isn't that about the same thing? If I'm going through all the effort to explain and kind of show you down below, can't you get the idea? Some people can, some people can't. Okay, so I get my drill. set up here. And let's see if I can't push this through there. And like I say, you gotta kind of mess with it a little bit. Okay, there it goes. See? That keeps this box on there tight, see? Now I can slide it up however far I need. That's probably enough, right? That's probably plenty. And I can swivel it back. I can push the excess up because this box is not going to go anywhere. See? I already double checked to make sure it would go up in the hole, and that screw goes up in there, and that looks pretty good where I've pre-drilled the holes. Oh, okay, I can see. See, I may have to shift that ever so little. Okay. And I pre-drilled the holes because that TGI is 25 years old, and it was tough just to drill a hole in it, and that stuff is compressed wood, and it's designed to be nice and stout, you know. Okay, where's my hole at? Oh, there it is. This is one of those ratcheted drills, and so it's supposed to make that noise. I'm trying to get it in to one of those pre-drilled holes I did. Do you ever think that's gonna fall down? I mean, I could just do it with 2 screws. You know, I've got pre-drilled for a 3rd one, but I'll put the 2nd one in. Now, if I had a regular drill, I'd have to pre-drill those holes out just a hair further, because there's no way I could get it in there, even on high. So for that reason alone, I like the ratcheted drill. Do you really think I need to put another one in? I probably don't, but I'm going to. Check my screws. Okay. Wow. Oh, I'm glad that portion of the project is done. Just to get that up there. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Whew. Man, oh man, oh man. Oh. Now see, any ceiling fan that you install, if you do the pancake box technique, kind of like how I'm showing you, you can do it, but you've got to obviously hit a joist, and you've got to do it in such a way to get the wire across there and all that. Now, they have other brackets at the store, but I wouldn't have been able to use anything else because there was no attic. If there was an attic above there, if you didn't feel comfortable doing it like that, they have the box on a sliding rod that hangs down. You take the rod and slide it in between your floor joists, your ceiling joists, whatever you have up there. Then you have to make sure you have somebody down below, so you know that the box isn't going to hang down too far, it's not going to be up too high, and you can do something like that too. Make sure you get the boxes that are designed and meant for a ceiling fan, not just for a light fixture, okay? If you're doing this and if you have an inspector look at the work, he wants to make sure that your approved boxes are approved for an actual ceiling fan rather than a light fixture, because the ceiling fan holds more weight, okay? Okay, so one step at a time. Do you know what the next step is? Hey, is there a right or wrong step next? Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth? Not really. I mean, I could start, if I really wanted to get energetic, I could open up the ceiling fan box, get that all ready, start installing that. But I'm gonna decide to finish this up. I like to finish up one thing at a time. So I'm gonna pull the wire back just a little bit. Remember I had a little bit of slop up there? I can pull it back just a little bit, and then I'll get my box ready. My box that I cut out from there. Remember? I'm going to reuse this same box. I'm going to snip off the edge of the part that I initially cut off, just so it's not going to be in my way when I get it up there. Right along there and right along there. I'm just going to take my wire nippers, my electrical cutters nippers, and do that. And then I'll prep the box, because remember I've got two areas for wires, and I could sneak that other wire through one of those. You know, I could just run two wires through one opening and one wire through the other one. I don't necessarily have to knock out one of those other ones. This box is designed that you can poke those out for 4 different wires. And see, initially those kind of push in too on a kind of springy. You kind of loosen that, and then that's kind of the same idea of when you slide your wire in there. Then the plastic bit kind of kicks back on it, and you can do it that way. You don't necessarily have to cut them out like that. I ended up doing that just to get the box out of there easier. Do you see what I mean? Or else I wouldn't have been able to pull those wires out of there. Okay, so I'm gonna get that set up, because last night I didn't turn the power back on for the smoke alarm, so I think I should get this done, get the box up, reinstall the smoke alarm, do all that kind of stuff in case I run behind schedule, and if I don't have enough time to finish the ceiling fan, let's say, I can put some wire nuts on there and then turn the breaker back on, and the smoke alarms will work for tonight. You see what I mean? And as for you not having enough time, hey, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. You know, and you may or may not be either. So know your limitations. Like yesterday, with all the different stuff I showed you, getting behind there, pulling that plywood off, making sure determination whether or not there was this type of joist up here or not, taking this out, cutting the box out, taking the crawl hole cover off, inspecting that, putting the plywood back on underneath the house and everything, and then getting this hole prepped for it, and then fishing that wire. You've got to know your limitations, because there's only so many hours that I can do something like that hard. I used to be able to work do an all-nighter, doing a tenant improvement, having to make sure I'm ready for an inspection or for a final inspection or something like that. My record is 42 hours straight working, no sleep, maybe eating a little bit in between, and then working all night and working the next day and until I got up to a certain point. I can't do stuff like that anymore. You know, five or 6 hours, and that's about it for me, depending what I'm doing. And yesterday it just kicked my butt. You know, my back was sore. I took a hot shower, took a hot bath, and I just laid there in comatose state, dreading the fact that I gotta fish that up, and I hope I can fish that up. And son of a gun, it went right through today. Okay, so know your limitations and your boundaries. You know, up and down this ladder, I don't know how many times I went up and down the ladder to check here, up and down the ladder to reach over there, up and down the ladder, you know, for all the other stuff. Everything, because it's up, you know, 10-foot ceilings, up and down the ladder. You're working off a ladder, your feet get sore, your back gets sore. I couldn't work directly there, trying to fish that through there with my left hand, and then I would get tired, and then I'd have to flip it over and do my right hand as I'm facing backwards, and I just couldn't get it. And doing all that straining and stuff, man, your body's gonna feel it. So, you know, when you feel like you've got to stop for the day, stop, you know. And so that's what I'm saying here. If I don't have enough time to do everything, and I start installing the ceiling fan after doing the smoke alarm and stuff, if I don't get the whole thing done, as long as I have wire nuts on here, I turn the breaker back on and my smoke alarms go on. If I decide I don't want the smoke alarms on, I won't turn that breaker on for tonight again. You know, always have like a game plan, a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. As you remember, I had a plan A, and then I thought that wasn't going to work, so I tried the plan B, then I tried the plan C, and then because I knew I could get up through here, it was back to plan A, knowing full well that I should be able to somehow fish a wire from here to there through those open gusseted I-beams and those TGI floor joists. Okay, all right, enough of that. So I'm gonna prep this box like I said, and then I've got to hold that box up there and drill some holes, eyeball the holes, because I can't just drill the holes flat. I'm gonna have to drill them up at an angle. You see what I mean? And I may have to do it from down here because I'm gonna have 3 wires sticking out. And if you ever want to put your box up there and double check stuff, you can push your wires up out of the way far enough to where you can get your box put up there and make sure it's going to fit and all that. And then you can reach up there and pull the wires back down. I've done that many times. You might think, oh, what if the wire goes way back and I can't reach it? Well, more times than not, that's not going to happen. But because that wire is down there, I don't necessarily have to put the box up there. The box was there before. I pulled the box down. I had to cut the hole just slightly bigger. But as you can see, I did not damage the drywall around that hole or anything. And that's the idea here. You do things in such a way, is it possible to do this whole job without damaging the drywall, without cutting holes in the drywall to fish a wire up and not cut holes in here because you got ceiling joists? Is it possible? I'll let you be the judge of that. Hey, here's a tip for you. If you happen to get a 250-foot roll of Romex, it comes in a plastic sheeting and a plastic little holder there. Don't pull the whole thing off, because then your wire is all going to get discombobulated every time you want to use the wire. Okay, so all I do is cut the plastic off on one side. Then the rest of the plastic holds the rest of the roll together. And now that I've got all my wire used up that I'm going to use for today, I'm just going to take this and roll it and set it back in here for my next project. Okay, and you can pretty much do the same thing, right? I could have been a little bit more careful rolling it, but I'm gonna need some more wire here. When I get done with this one ceiling fan, I'm gonna have to do the same thing in another one. But you see, it's all set up, ready to go for my next project. Okay, remember that. Now, here's another quick tip for you. The only thing I had for a drop is an old crummy towel. And I thought, hey, no biggie. All I have to do is cut a hole here. That's all. I'm just going to have a little bit of sheetrock mess right here. It'll be fine. I don't need a drop for the white carpet and stuff. But as you saw, I had all kinds of stuff down on the ground, insulation, the insulation stuff floating down. And if you got insulation up there and you're trying to fish through there, you want to make sure your air conditioner's off, your windows are closed, that kind of stuff, because you don't want your air filtering in here, moving all around, because all the little bits of dust and particles of the insulation are flying down, and then they can go all throughout this room. Yeah, all on the nice bedspread and stuff. And when I get all done, I'm gonna have to take a vacuum or something with an attachment and maybe do the whole bedspread. And I had a moving blanket in my car. I should have thought of that. I could have put the moving blanket all on that. I could have put this towel down here, or if you got some drop cloths or something like that, you know, be set up for your project, because you never know how messy you're going to get. And as for that, if you don't have anything more than that, hey, can you still do your job? Well, yeah, you still can. But I just vacuumed up again. I vacuumed up twice now. I've got my vacuum ready. I vacuumed all that stuff up because I don't want it to get all over the place. I don't want to track it in from here down the hallway into the next room, grind it down into here, moving the ladder back and forth, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, be mindful of your existing conditions and clean up a little bit. If you're in somebody's house doing this as a project or something, and they come in to their room and their nice white carpet's got junk all over it, and you're just working away, and you've got stuff all over the place, and you got your tools on top of their counter, and you don't have anything over their nice white bedspread, and this thing's already got a gouge in it. It's got some grease on it from your fish tape that wasn't working up here, and you didn't wipe it off. You weren't mindful. Hey, you don't want to do any of that. Act as though you're doing it for yourself. But even if you are doing it for yourself in your own house, just be mindful of certain things, okay? It'll make you become more aware for your next project, and your next project, and your next project. Repetition, repetition, repetition.